Hello everybody. This is a very early live stream on Sunday morning, and I'll be leaving for a 2-hour drive, a 4-hour round trip drive in about a half hour. And I had some stuff to follow on to yesterday's live streaming videos that I wanted to finish before I move on to other things. So let's go into the journal and be very particular about what I'm doing because I have a very small window. I have an existing Pipulate repo. It's been around for ages in many forms, in several forms. See it by Googling on the word Pipulate. You can find it in the Python packaging index, and you can also find it on my personal website, and you can also find it on GitHub, although this guy's GitHub is not the right GitHub. I'm going to have to make one of my older versions of Pipulate is more popular than my newer one, because I had pretty pictures and I solved all that fancy server context that was necessary to do this stuff before Jupyter Notebook is on the scene. But now, honestly, with Jupyter Notebook on the scene, there's no reason to have that server architecture built in. You just ride on their amazing system that uses 0MQ and such. So my Pipulate is over here. It uses much less overhead and is really only used for automatic updates of Google Sheets to create dashboards. There's a few other things in there like OAuth authentication that allows you to do Google Analytics stuff, Google Search Console, but it's a little underwhelming as far as the free and open source software for SEO that I kind of bill it as. So it's time to do that update. And so it's time to update it with new functions. But that'll be a later video, because first we nbdev new in that folder. And we're going to protect a few things in that folder to make sure that we don't overwrite it. So I bring up a new terminal. And I always start out, you'll notice, in my GitHub folder. That's just so important. It's my Windows home folder. It's not my real Linux home path. This is c/users/username/GitHub, which I can always get to from my, main Windows Explorer as well, real easy. So I use it as home because it's an easy place to get to from the Linux side. From here, I cd into Pipulate, and in there you'll see there is a subfolder called Pipulate as well, which is really where the package goes, and that's the convention. Folder by the package name, and then subfolder by the same package name. Support things like documentation go out here, and then the real .py file that becomes generally the package, the pip installable, importable into your code package goes in there. And we're going to try and avoid a file collision, so I'm going to open another terminal over here and cd into repo, brepo. So I have a repo, which I did with nbdev new, and didn't do much else. So you'll see there's no subfolder by the same name as the package a repo. There's no a repo subfolder here. But if I cd up a folder and then over into b repo, and then ls there, you will see that there is a subfolder with the same b repo name here. Okay. So that's the first potential collision that occurs. It's going to create a directory by the same name as the package. So I'll be copying and pasting the Pipulate folder to avoid that. So let's do that first. It's kind of good to do it with a git move Pipulate. And since it's moving a folder that has stuff, we might have to do a recursive forced, and we'll call it Pipulate old. Keep it in the same repo. Okay, we'll probably, okay. It doesn't like recursive. Let's just try forced. ls git status. All right, so it knows that I renamed that. That takes care of all the collisions that goes on in that folder by the same name as the package. The next one is probably going to be setup.py. I think that's a collision opportunity. It is. We're going to see what the other things are. Index, makefile, readme. I'm using a readme.rst. There will be no collision, although GitHub will have some decisions to make. Okay, so git move setup.py, setup.old.py, git status. All right, so there probably won't be collisions now. Pipulate's a public repo, so there's really no harm in doing the nbdev new, but I'll do a commit first. Preparing to nbdev if-I. End of statement. And to really hit this home, what I'm doing, we go into a Jupyter Notebook and we look at Pipulate in here. Right now I have SEO Kata showing. It's good by way of contrast. This is something that hasn't been turned into a package. So everything that's used by SEO Kata is here. Here's all the imports. And then I start making functions as I go, like good URL, extract apex, out to user agent, all kinds of things that I use in my day-to-day SEO work. However, it's not turned into a package. It's live in a notebook, and then I can interactively use these things right below. So, I mean, the idea is greatly so that I can, import my globals, hit good URL, and now, anywhere in that notebook, I can do things like good URL on foo, and it'll return false. But if it was http://foo.com, it would return the name of the URL itself. It doesn't go out and check it. It just uses URL parsing to make sure that there's something in the protocol schemes. And I probably should make sure there's something in the path schemes as well. But anyway, I can always refine these things. The important point is that you see that the very functions I make, I can use interactively in the same notebook where I make them. And that's a powerful, powerful feature. Test your packages as you go. That is not working that way currently in Pipulate. Pipulate is essentially only the equivalent of the extracted .py file that now lives in this directory. cd Pipulate old ls, and here is the main Pipulate file here. It's just a .py file. There's no equivalent notebook that is sort of like live code. So I can pip install, or I can import Pipulate into any of my packages now, into any of my notebook packages. But I can only use the functions that are inside of there. I can't look at and see the functions and improve the library as I go. That's what my goal is. So I'll keep that showing for a minute. I guess without further ado, I will clear it because I want to do a before and after. Here's our ls, and I want to do nbdev new. All right, ls. And you can see now it did add quite a few files. And if I git status, you'll see which files in particular it added. These are all the things that get added. That's kind of important. I'll put that in my notebook for later. After nbdev new, here's what git status shows as the new files. Train my spell checker a little. All right, so to make Pipulate now live in the nbdev space is the the real point of this video. So Pipulate now has more in it, including that coveted. Oh, look, it does create a core. I did not think it did that before when I did the creation of the new nbdev new in a blank folder. I thought I only got that when I cloned the template from GitHub, but I got it, and here it is. The color coding will kick in a moment. There, the color coding kicked in, and so this is our starting point. This is everything that's going to be loaded in. Now I could change the name from core, but I'm not going to fight it right now. I'm going to go with the nbdev conventions, and then this is going to be everything that gets exported into the library. See, now I should be able to go into my old subdirectory. Before I do that, I want to take a look at what it is doing. Oh, there is no subfolder made yet by the name of core. That doesn't happen until I do an export. So I'm going to do a hello world export. I'm going to create def foo bar return bar. Save. All right. So we should get that exported in a newly created directory by that name here. If I do nbdev clean nbs git status, all that stuff is just added still. I think it still works without a git commit on this stuff. Let's try nbdev build lbs lib lib. Yeah, I didn't like something, so yeah, I've got those standard things to change. So vim settings.ini, and it's a lot of these, renames things. So the repo name is Pipulate. Company name is not a thing. Host is GitHub. All sections below are required unless otherwise specified. So I'll leave company there for a minute. Oh, it's saying for enterprise Git. So it's really not required. Okay, get rid of it. Description we need free and open source software for SEO. FOSS SEO software. Gmail. Mike Levin 2021. And let's see, it's true, license Apache. All right, I'm probably making mistakes by not doing more thorough looking at these. I don't want to accidentally change my license, but I will probably take my time before I do my real git push of this to make sure these numbers are right. So for right now, I'm just trying to get some instant success. So we're going to try and build our notebook again. to build our library from our notebook. It worked correctly. We do an ls and it created the new Pipulate directory that was not there before. Here is my old one. And that's an exported package now. So I should be able to go take a look at it. There's the core file as expected. And inside the core file, there's my foo return bar. So I should actually be able to get the first makings of the effect that I'm trying to do here. This becomes the package proper, but you can experiment around with functions you've made. You can either use them right here. Of course, if you load them into memory, you can use them. Foo spam, return spam. But there is also now a package I should be able to import. Pipulate. This is a long shot. And we should have pipulate.foo. If we don't, it's because Pipulate is in memory right now and I need to uninstall it. So I'm going to do that. I say in memory, not really in memory so much as in my package settings or whatever it is. So pip uninstall Pipulate. This will get rid of the one that's on my system as far as pip install. And so now that calls for a kernel reboot. And we try just installing or just importing that one to Pipulate foo. Pipulate has no attribute foo. So again, now I check whether it's pipulate.core.foo. Okay, so then we inspect Pipulate, dir Pipulate. Yeah, we see no foo in there. Pipulate.core, and it's not its core is not there. So we might say import pipulate.core. Yeah, I'm gonna have to solve this sort of stuff. There's our foo function, and now I can do pipulate.foo eggs. Has no oh yeah, so it's pipulate.core.foo. Okay, and there it's echoing things back. So right now, I have migrated the Pipulate package over, but there's these annoying conventions I don't like. Now I will have to wrap up soon because I'm gonna have to head out, but I'm gonna do one of my favorite tricks here to get it to be in the correct namespace, such as it were. And it's not the best PEP8 practices, but I don't think it's meant for the dunder inits. So if you ls in here, you'll find that one of the files is dunder init, and everything that we want is really in core.py, and I don't want to fight that whole core.py thing that nbdev does for file organization. I'm tempted to rename this pipulate.py, which I could probably do in the setup.ini. However, 80-20 rule, vim dunder init. It has a version, but we could just as well do from core import all asterisk, right? It's a little trick. So now that's actually there. I'll probably add that with git add. No, Git will know. Git tracks those differences. I'll be adding all those directories soon, but it detects that the file's changed. I restart the kernel. Now I just try and import Pipulate. I get rid of this one, and I should be able to just do it from here. Import Pipulate. No module named core. So it has to be side-loaded. The first thing is I'm really glad it sees it. The second thing is it's a shame it can't just load it from the side. From core, import all, import core. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really figure this out from .core current directory. Let's see if file paths work. Yeah. And so now we should have pipulate.foo without the .core path. And that is my starting point. I have now laid the foundation for successfully moving, for copying and pasting things from my old Pipulate file to this new one. And I will be able to work with core, editing these functions up here. You know, I'll say, instead of returning bar, I'll return the f string bar foo, right? So the word foo will be appended to the end of it. In fact, that's not it at all. The curly brackets go around bar, and the foo goes here. So that is in there now. Save it. Quit out of this. cd ... nbdev clean nbs nbdev build lib. This is the muscle memory forming now. They got built. Restart the kernel. Import pipulate bar foo. There you go. We have live notebook package development coming online again. Everything in here will be the package. Everything out here will be using the package, all in one place. All the namespace issues worked out. No weirdness on imports except for having to restart the kernel. And this has just been a wonderfully successful video and stages me for my next step really well, which is a kind of rebasing of Pipulate, not a full rebasing. I won't be nuking the repo. I like to keep those histories intact, but a Pipulate that will be worth coming up in the search engine results against my older version, which people apparently like to look at because of my my pretty pictures of the old server context. Goes away now because Jupyter does it just much better. Jupyter is the new server portion of this, and so now I'm making the next version of this. There'll be a bunch more things you can do with Pipulate that I'll document down here. So thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. And don't forget to pip install Pipulate.